Back in your life on this Monday, September 30th, or Tuesday, October 1st, depending on where you may be, 2024. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the program. Ariel Helwani here inside our sort of makeshift New York City studio. Another Pardon Our Dust podcast for all of you. It is, of course, a Monday. It is, of course, the beginning of the week. It is, of course, a time where we usually do a show, and we are inching very, very closely to our launch date, October 14th, Uncrowned, the Ariel Helwani Show. It all launches on that date. We are exactly 2 weeks away, my friends, and it is a very exciting time, but we don't want to leave you hanging. We are doing this out of the kindness of our hearts. Yahoo telling us, no, you don't have to. We say, no, we must. We must do it. We must be present. We must be back in your life. And there's a lot to discuss. And so here we are, audio only. If you're listening to this on our Ariel Helwani Show feed, please do subscribe or follow. Please do comment. Please do review. All these things matter. You may be seeing our new logo. It's up there now. Hope you like it. Also, you may have noticed that the crack is on the feed. Coming in a little over 2 weeks' time, there'll be other shows on there. Most notably, The Boys in the Back on Thursdays, hosted by GC and New York Rick. Watch parties, post shows, all that stuff and more. You also may be listening or consuming this on our YouTube channel, the Ariel Helwani Show feed, newly renamed. We're putting this up for all of you because we don't want to leave you hanging. And so there's a lot going on behind the scenes here, a lot of exciting things. It's great to talk with the boys about all these things and more. So like I said, Ariel Helwani here in New York, joined by Mr. Connor Burks. Hello, sir.
How you doing, man?
New York Rick here as well.
Hello.
Frank is in the house somewhere.
Hey.
There he is. And by the way, are we? There was some discussion about dropping GC. Are we dropping it officially?
What discussion was there?
It was sort of like a, never really agreed to this name. You know, new era. Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Let's also throw out, we have a new member joining the team.
Jordan.
And
producer extraordinaire.
What was your suggested nickname for him?
I believe it was Pizzi who suggested On-Air Jordan, and I read it sort of incorrectly, so I was like, On-Air Jordan. I didn't quite put two and two together, like Air Jordan, On-Air Jordan. And so I went with, what did I go with? JKL? No, JKB? What did I go with?
It was a stretch, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought you just went with Long Island Jordan. After New York Rick.
No, it was
after Georgia Connor.
LBK.
LBK, but
Like HBK. There it is.
LBJ was also right there because
yeah, but LBK is Long Beach Camden.
Yeah.
By the way,
It didn't go over.
Okay, it didn't go over well. By the way, some breaking news. Thank you. Do we have the music?
Doop, 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 doop.
There it is.
We have hired Jordan Kamzan to join the team. He may not be a household name to all of you, but I actually worked with him on the Ariel Helwani's MMA show program at ESPN. Also worked with him on Ariel and the Bad Guy and DC and Helwani. He was a great part of the team there. So we have reunited another former ESPNer. So that's very exciting. Longtime fans of the MMA Hour will recall Andy, director Andy. Yeah. She is now a part of the team as well. So this is very exciting. We are bringing a whole host of familiar faces. You may have seen that Drake Riggs, formerly of MMA Fighting and MMA Mania, joined the Uncrowned.com team. He announced that last week as well.
Retired, then unretired. Sent the fax in. I'm back.
That's it. 2 words. And other names to be announced as well. So a lot of exciting things happening in our Uncrowned universe, our new venture that we're launching here with Yahoo Sports. The studio's being built, and I can't wait for October 14th. October 14th, by the way, the date of my wife's grandmother's 100th birthday.
Wow.
She's having a birthday party on that date in Montreal, and I'm missing it.
That's how much this coincide with the
I'm missing
launch.
I've never been invited to a 100th birthday party, and I am missing it for this.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, at least.
Yes.
There's always one-on-one. You'll be there for one-on-one.
God willing, yes. Have you guys ever been invited to a 100th birthday party?
No.
Rick?
Well, they don't let me do parties.
Good one.
You said somewhere in the house Frank is? He actually is. We have no idea where he's at.
We don't know where he is.
He's
this
not
time
sitting with us.
No, but by the way, remember last week I said he prefers to not be in the room with us.
I
love this.
As we just parted ways, I was just like, man, I kind of feel bad you have to sit alone. And like he mumbled under his breath as he was peeling off. He was like, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm in a dark control room by myself.
Look how much happier he is.
Scrolling phone, playing
I have a
Magic the
smile
Gathering.
ear to ear. I love it.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, Frank, and let's keep this rolling. But yes, please do sub on the YouTube channel as well. Those things go a long way, and like, subscribe, comment, all those things and more.
Rick, the little bell for notifications.
Yeah, notifications.
Rate, review.
So very busy weekend. A lot of things have happened since we last spoke. It's tough to do once a week, because a lot of things happen in between. Let us start with UFC Paris. It came and went this past weekend at the beautiful Accor Arena in Paris. I was there for Canada-France, a basketball game that I would like to forget, but it's a great venue. It's actually really interesting because there's like grass on the side of the arena, and it's in a really cool part of Paris. So I was very familiar with it. Once again, the Parisian crowd, second to none, right?
Second to none, dude.
I think there's no more discussion. They are the best crowd in combat sports.
We've gone, the last 3 years now?
Yeah.
This is the third one. Every single time, it's just tremendous.
And they're not just MMA, not just UFC, WWE. They always
incredible.
Bring it. They always deliver.
And it's not just Parisian, because WWE was in Lyon, and they were outstanding. When they do the thing where they sing the national anthem during the main event, and this time they did it twice just to try to, I think, get Benoit Saint-Denis going. They did it in the second round too. Man, you don't see that anywhere. And we've talked about Ireland, we've talked about Canada, we've talked about Brazil. Nothing for me. The moment where Bryan Battle is on the microphone and they are hissing him they sound like bees. And he's like, you think I'm going to let some French dude beat me? I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
This
His
is
voice.
why.
I did not know he sounded like that. It was so good the way he sounded.
It's just exhibit 757 as to why you need a crowd, as to why, I hate to belabor the point, but look how great that was. And that moment doesn't exist if you're at the apex.
And they're early too, the Morgan Charrier moment,
amazing.
Early on in the main card, the crowd was just so into it. It's so electric. And yeah, the Bryan Battle thing. I loved how he was just keep booing me, and they just got louder. It was so good.
What I wonder is what percentage of them, whether it be percentage of the crowd or percentage of each individual, knew what he was doing and wanted to play with it, and what percentage was just I hate this man with all my guts and I hope he doesn't
Probably
walk out of here.
50-50, honestly. Because if I'm them, I'm playing into it. I mean,
I
you
would
just gotta
love
respect
that.
the game. I also love how they are just so diehard for the French fighters.
Oh yeah.
If they have the red, white, and blue, they are there for them. It does not matter.
And it was a relatively great night for the French fighters, except for the main event.
Yeah.
The main event did not go Benoit Saint-Denis' way. Imagine telling someone in January that Renato Moicano, would roll into France and beat up Benoit Saint-Denis, who was on fire going into this year, who was, it was in mid-January that we found out about his fight against Dustin Poirier, and everyone was like, oh my God, he is going to annihilate Dustin Poirier. He is going to kill Dustin Poirier. We all know what happened in that fight. And then all of a sudden, you see Renato Moicano, who's on this roll now, who has won his last 4 fights in a row after this fight, who continues to get better and more confident and more sure of himself. Not only better in the cage with his skills, but better on the mic as well. He's unbelievable. We'll get to that in a moment. Just absolutely annihilate this guy. Between the first and second round, and eventually, by the way, in case you didn't watch, Moicano wins via doctor stoppage. Between the first and second round, it looked like Benoit Saint-Denis had fought for 10 rounds. His face was so busted up, right? It was crazy.
Yes, it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And then they showed the significant strike numbers, and it was 34-4 in the first round. He really did just put the absolute beat down on him. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And again, Benoit Saint-Denis comes in as a massive favorite and gets upset.
It's a cliche, but he looked like he got into a car accident. He looked like he got attacked.
No, this was after one round. I don't remember a lot of guys looking like that after one round.
Yeah, the eyes were completely, both were practically completely shut. It was very bad.
And then he beat him up. So he beat him up really badly in the first. He kind of took the second round off, although Benoit wasn't really giving him much to think about. And then the doctor comes in and the announce team was like, come on. I thought it was the right call. Like
I thought it was a good
his
stuff
face.
as well.
We don't know the extent of his injuries, but his face was busted. There's got to be a broken orbital in there.
Yeah. It looked very bad.
He was done. There was nothing there, and it kind of just it raises the question, like, what happened to Benoit Saint-Denis? Is he still not recovered from the Dustin Poirier fight?
Can I just say, I know that's a narrative. I know that's being talked about. I really think that's underrating to a certain extent Renato Moicano, who is
man. He looked like a shell of himself.
I know, yeah,
from the
and
get-go.
Let's like try to backtrack a little bit. Against Poirier, revealed right staph infection. Like he was struggling there. At the same time, like he could have won that Poirier fight. Like Poirier turned that around. Yeah. So it's a bad run for him right now, but I do think ultimately like he can get back on track very easily. Like it's just the performances in a vacuum, like they kind of like together they look bad. In a vacuum, if you look at them individually, I think it'll be okay. And I really think Renato Moicano is just having his moment right now where like don't like people forget on the ground where this fight ended up taking place and where the elbows were landed and the punches were landed that ultimately opened him up. That dude's one of the best in the world in MMA and jiu-jitsu. Like he is elite level. And if you get down there with him, that is something that could happen. And so I don't disagree. I think BSD looked not great. Just didn't look prepared for this fight. But if you put anybody in that position, Renato is probably going to win more times than not in that spot. And so I think we have to equal part give credit to Renato. BSD did not look himself, but I am confident that BSD can turn this around with the right matchup in the right spot, and he will be able to look like himself again.
And it really speaks to, like you said, Renato Moicano on the ground, because BSD was having his way with Dustin Poirier in that first round on the ground. And then you see what Moicano does to him when they go to the ground. It's just crazy. I just can't believe this run that Moicano is on. It's just like he keeps winning as a massive underdog and then getting on the mic and talking about wild geopolitics.
Okay, so the post-fight
promos are always...
He always has a book recommendation.
Yes. How is he going on? Like, he's going on the mic after winning in front of those people, talking about Macron, talking about the French government, talking about all
globalists.
This stuff. Yes, I'm like, yo, man. Where has this guy been?
He's dropping words like fallacy. Like, you talk about like whether his English has improved or not. Like he's like a dictionary.
It's one of the most entertaining things in the sport right now.
Every time he gets on there, he's recommending a book. So he's well read. So we know where the vocabulary is coming from. The man reads.
Calls out, like he's going to compliment your city. He's going to call out your government leaders. He's gonna call for a fight. Like he just like tosses it in there. He's just like, Paddy Pimblett, I want you. Dan Hooker, easy money.
Easy money.
Make sure you guys read. He's just like, and he's going to recommend a great book
amazing.
For you. Like, he just nails it every time. And, I mean, it's just like, how many more wins does he need before we start talking about title contention?
Well, he's creeping up there. I will say, we've seen stories like this before, right? Like, remember Robbie Lawler was kind of 500, then all of a sudden he breaks through. Remember Charles Oliveira?
I was just about to say Charles Oliveira.
It kind of is 500, and then he breaks through. So we've seen this before. It's very fun when it happens. I don't know if anyone expected this from Moicano.
What's interesting about Moicano is...
Jorge Masvidal, of course, is the best example of this.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
But I think Moicano's in a little bit of a different boat than them, where it actually was like, he seemed like the prospect, right? He seemed like the guy who was like that next guy that was like, oh my God, this young guy's about to take over. But then he couldn't quite get that fight. Like, for one reason or another, things were kind of falling apart, and he could never get that fight to get over the hump. Then he gets RDA, and it's like, oh, maybe it was too much. Maybe he wasn't the prospect that we thought he was. Then he's kind of up and down, and it kind of could have been a story where it's just like, oh, he was that prospect, he hit that top level, and he just wasn't ready for it. But now he's completely reset it. It wasn't like he was like this guy who was like doing nothing, came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden had a rise. He was kind of this guy who was on the rise, fell or plateaued a bit, and people thought like, it's not going to happen for him. And now he's back on the rise again. But he almost, in my opinion, he just wanted to strike too much with people. If you get on the ground with them, you are going to see this because he's that good on the ground. So
I remember 2018, he was the backup fighter for Max Holloway. Who is it? Max Holloway against Brian Ortega in Toronto. He misses weight. His fight against Mirsad Bektik gets canceled. Very embarrassing for him. He loses to Jose Aldo. He loses to the Korean Zombie. He loses to Rafael Fiziev. Like, he was just kind of up and down. And now the personality is shining through. Obviously, the game. To do that in France, in Paris, against Benoit Saint-Denis, who a lot of people thought like by the end of 2024 would be in title contention.
Oh my God, yeah. He was like a minus 250 against Dustin Poirier. Everyone was just like, he's going to dominate him. This is bad for Dustin Poirier. And then Benoit Saint-Denis was going to get his title shot.
How perfect is it to now say, like, we were just talking about, BSD doesn't look like himself. Renato Moicano is the guy. He's the exact example.
If you're writing off BSD right now, no,
it's
not in the sport.
It moves so quick and things change so quickly.
Not in the sport.
It is the fastest moving sport. I've only been ingrained in it for like 4 or 5 years now, but like it moves so fast. Like you can't write these guys off.
2 years from now, we'll be like, he's on a 5-fight win streak.
Yeah.
Like it's just how this goes.
He just needs some time off now after this fight.
I agree with that.
For sure.
Extended period.
I mean, that was a
off.
beat. Like his face
was messed up.
Yeah,
shocking. For his health, he has to stay away for quite some time. I think he'll get back on track. But let's talk about Moicano because he did, in addition to a whole bunch of other stuff, mention Paddy Pimblett, and it seems like Paddy's in. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, how do you not make that fight at this point?
That is the one.
With how on fire Moicano is, and then Paddy is obviously a huge star in his own right.
That has to be the one, right?
And
it's like right there.
The way that Paddy's been looking of late, too. Like, Paddy's been putting on impressive performances. That is a fight that I really want to see.
Who do you favor?
I think Moicano.
Tough to not favor Moicano with the way he's been fighting. Just like the pure, toughness of Moicano, too. I mean, the fight against RDA and then Jalen Turner getting knocked on his ass and then coming back and winning. But, man, it's a fight that I need to see.
They're a little bit of mirror images of each other. Like, they're both, like, the striking is effective, but not, you wouldn't go in thinking, like, they're kickboxers, like K1 kickboxers, or Glory to make it a more updated reference. But it's effective enough that, like, they're posing problems on the feet. When they get to the ground, it's where they really shine. They look like they're just in a different class than everybody else when they get to the ground. So I'm curious. They kind of, like, they have the same strengths and the same weaknesses. I'm curious to see how it will play out. It's a perfect matchup.
If they don't do that one, I mean, he also called Dan Hooker. I don't know if that would happen, but that
Hooker's talking to everyone. I mean, Hooker and Poirier are going back and forth.
The fact that Poirier re-engaged with that.
We all said he was not retiring. He's like itching.
Oh, I wasn't even saying I did, for not 1 minute thought he was retired, but it's not necessarily a fight I thought he would jump at. But the fact that he even engaged with it to me is like fascinating because now it might be Poirier's opening the door for it felt like his range of potential opponents was very narrow. Now all of a sudden Dan Hooker's calling your name and you're like, let's talk. Now I'm like, oh, interesting. The range of opponents is opening a little bit for Poirier.
Are you surprised that he's even into this because he has the win? And
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's interesting to me.
First fight was so good, though.
First fight was so good, but he talks about, like, I want to be motivated. It has to matter. And maybe he's just come to the point where it's
on a run, though, and gets into the top 5.
This is why I'm shocked. This is my reaction.
Someone posted the no commentary, like, footage of, like, a highlight reel of them in the Apex, and, like, all you can hear is just them just punching each other. It's just an insane fight.
I think Moicano, Paddy can easily sell out the O2. You go to London in March.
Headline a fight night.
That's like so perfect. It's right there. They both want it. There's no reason not to make it.
How good would Renato be as a heel again coming into that?
Like
him weighing in on the British government,
Brexit,
the monarchy, everything. Give me all of it. Give me all of it. I think he's fantastic. He really is. We got him on the mic and Bryan Battle on the mic. In case you missed it, Bryan Battle was absolutely amazing. He gets on the microphone after his win, and he cuts this promo where, again, it's like the whole crowd is just booing him, like, vociferously. And he says, if you think I was gonna lose to a French,
if you thought the Butcher was gonna come into Paris and lose to a French dude,
yes,
and then he repeats it just to hammer it,
because they cut him off. It's so loud the boos, and he's like, wait a minute, let me say that again.
If you thought the Butcher, and his like voice is so like gravelly, it was just so perfect. It was like a 30-second. He didn't go too.
He's got
long.
The chains.
Yeah, he had the chains.
He looked like an old school like 1984 pro wrestling heel. He beats Kevin Doucette, who our friend Pete Carroll was very high on.
Beat him down, man. He has looked so good of late. That's another dude kind of like Moicano. Like, Bryan Battle has looked tremendous of late.
I love that stuff. Those two promos, I can't get enough of that stuff. I really can't. He was an absolute revelation. And again, one of the few guys who beat the Frenchman, because France actually had quite the night. Nassourdine Imavov beat Brendan Allen via unanimous decision. Solid affair, I guess. I mean, a solid win for him.
I think it's one of those things, though, that does, like, there's a reason Nassourdine Imavov is a prospect. But there's also a reason why he hasn't been the guy that everybody's clamoring to see in that title conversation yet. The performances are always good, but not the one that's like a stamp. He never puts the stamp on it. But to beat a guy like Brendan Allen in the way that he did is like an incredible performance. There's just this one little thing that just like he can't get over the hump with it in terms of putting the stamp on the performance. But like to do what he did to Brendan Allen on the ground is like majorly impressive, especially considering what round one looked like, where Brendan Allen seemed to be the one controlling. Like I was impressed, but I still wasn't like, I need to see this guy. He's missing that one performance that's like, I need to see this guy fight.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, if it stays standing, Brendan Allen probably wins the fight.
Yeah.
And to end Brendan Allen's win streak like that is still impressive.
He was on a roll.
Yeah, I think 6 straight. And yeah, I'm just kind of with you. It's just like, it's weird that like Imavov is a player at middleweight, but like you're also kind of like, is he a player at middleweight with how big the line is?
I think it's actually 7 in a row that he was on.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Coming off a win over Chris Curtis.
Yeah, the split decision against Chris Curtis.
Yeah, a tough loss for him. But, you know, one win and he gets back on track. He said afterwards how disappointed he was in his performance. William Gomez with the win over Joe Anderson Brito, split decision win. As I mentioned, Bryan Battle win. Morgan Charrier is one of the most beloved fighters in France because he was on a reality show with a very popular YouTuber and helped him lose a ton of weight. And so everyone adores him. Like anytime he posts anything, it's crazy when you see these guys like Benoit and him post stuff. Like the engagement is just the popularity of the sport. And shout out to Pete, who had a great conversation with a journalist out of France who writes for La Sueur, which is like sort of their top outlet, talking all about this. It's just fascinating to see how this market, which was ignored for so long because MMA was illegal there, has now just absolutely exploded. He knocked out Gabriel Miranda viciously in the second round. Fariziam with a vicious knockout of Matt Favola.
One of the craziest knees I've ever seen.
Matt gets hit hard, man.
Dude.
He's got a chin.
A warrior.
Yeah.
I mean, God, and I really like to see him win, and he's such an exciting fighter because usually when he does win, it's by knockout. But, man, he goes out on his shield, dude. It's kill or be killed for Favola.
Yeah, just became a father as well.
It looks like he's still enjoying himself. He's been posting
I see
pictures
the
with the kids, and he's getting croissants and all that.
Shout out to Iwan Kuchilaba with a split decision win. Umar Sy with a split decision win. Unanimous decision win. Ludovic Klein with a unanimous decision win. Taylor Lapilus with a unanimous decision. It got a little dry there for a moment.
Yeah, there were a lot of decisions.
Eileen Perez, though.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Talk about a heel.
What's this heat between her and Tracy Cortez?
Yeah, well, first of all, Eileen Perez, in case you missed it, looked awful on the scale on Friday. Like, was shivering, just another one of those scary scenes.
When you say awful, we're saying like she did not look healthy when she's stepping up.
Yeah, sorry.
She was shaking
Scary.
and stuff.
Yes.
They claim that the shaking was like all a ploy.
Cold? Oh, really?
That's what they said on the
It was
broadcast.
like rope-a-dope?
That's what they said on the broadcast.
Didn't look that way.
Like that they were
She was
doing
playing
that on
possum?
purpose. Yeah.
By the way, I learned earlier this week, actually late last week, that playing possum is like a real thing because there was a groundhog under my car and in my driveway, and I thought he was dead, and I was like literally poking him, didn't move, called animal control, gets there, gone.
He hops up.
Oh, so a groundhog played possum.
Yeah,
Wow.
but like that's where the term comes from, right? Yeah. Anyway, she misses weight, she wins, and she twerks on her opponent's face.
Right after the win.
The control of her opponent, because she did it twice. Like as she was trying to get up and walk away, she like really, really put it right in her. Her and Marab.
By the way, we saw a version of this.
Yeah,
Paddy Pimblett did it to Jordan Levitt to a degree.
It wasn't even as close. Like Aileen Perez was putting her face, her ass in this girl's face. Like,
and so what is the beef? The beef is that she talked smack about Tracy Cortez when she missed weight, and then she misses weight, and then Tracy did the passive aggressive thing where she like refers to her but doesn't refer to her.
I was gonna say I'm not gonna be totally honest with you, man. I've just seen a bunch of posts where it's them indirectly, like essentially subtweeting each other.
It's that, but it is also
Eileen isn't really I think Eileen is going
Yeah,
straight.
Eileen did the one where she was smoking a joint outside in Paris, and she's just like, I don't care at all about Tracy Cortez.
It's that Eileen goes after everybody. She'll talk about Tracy. She'll talk about this person. She wants to fight Kayla Harris. Like she'll just call out anybody. It doesn't really matter. And so. Yeah, Tracy's seeing an opportunity to be like, well, what about you? But that doesn't work because Eileen wants that. She wants you to engage with her. She's looking for you to respond to her, so now she can come back at you.
She loves it.
But she's great.
In that Kutalaba fight, the Iwan Kutalaba fight, and he was fighting Ivan Urslan, and when they announced the decision, it was one of those ones where like,
You weren't sure?
Well, Bruce was like Iwan, and they both raised their hands. They were like, yeah. and it's just like, damn, dude.
Shout out to Chris Duncan as well, the pride of Scotland, for getting a big win in the curtain jerker, submission win for him. Speaking of Scotland, PFL was in Scotland as well at the exact same time. One of those classic PFL Europe cards, which you cannot watch here in America. You can watch it on the Zone outside of America. And so clips were coming through and whatnot. Shout out to Stevie Ray for winning via twister in what may or might not be his retirement fight. We're not quite sure. But this is a fun one. If you're a longtime fan of the program, there used to be a guy named Robert Whiteford, the flying judoka, who I also dubbed the haggis hunter. And then he sent me a haggis,
a stuffed
haggis,
like what's it called? A morphi? What's it called when you give like a
stuffed friend? My daughter would call it.
Taxidermy.
Like you give it like a human characteristics to something.
A haggis.
I forget what the word is.
That is.
Oh, like an actual like stuffed animal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With a face on it, and it's haggis. And I thought that haggis was like an animal, but then I found out it's like a collection of meats.
Yeah.
And so I referred to him as the haggis hunter.
I have to say, coincidentally, I thought of this recently because I saw a video where, oh my God, I'm blanking on the actor's name. What's the famous Scottish guy's name? He played Charles Xavier. No, he played Charles Xavier in the X-Men movies.
Oh God,
Frank will know this. What's his name?
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
No.
Oh, I actually thought he was being serious.
The young one.
I was so excited to offer that up.
Class. Oh my God, I'm blanking. He's in a new horror movie right now, and I'm gonna die.
What does he play?
Anyway,
Professor X?
Yeah.
There's someone listening to this right now being like,
They're-
you idiot.
I know.
Yeah. Scrubs.
And what's crazy is I'm dying to see this horror movie, but anyway, it doesn't matter. He is Scottish and he's sampling different things, and one of the things that he gives him is the haggis, and I was like, oh, Robert Whiteford, the haggis, like it made
So he was on this
flashback.
card. You didn't even know.
I had no idea.
Told.
I only saw the Stevie Ray submission.
Wait, no. Patrick Stewart is who plays him.
No,
James McAvoy?
James McAvoy.
There we go.
Thank you.
Is that the guy who half owns Wrexham?
No. That is Rob McElhaney.
Oh,
Close it up.
yeah.
This is horrible.
So
Wrexham in first
the
place
pop
right now.
culture people, the
This
celebrity
is
people are
great.
going to kill us.
So I learned about Robert Whiteford's participation on this card by listening to The Crack with Pete Carroll, believe it or not, which you can get on this feed as well. And Rick doesn't even know the answer to this, and I'm assuming you don't as well.
Yeah, I didn't watch a single one of those.
Who did Robert Whiteford beat on Saturday?
No, couldn't tell you.
You couldn't even tell me. I couldn't believe it.
Don't even know what weight class we're talking right now. Have no idea.
Roger Huerta.
Shut up.
Yeah, that was the fight. That was the co-main event. Robert Whiteford against Roger Huerta.
Where has Roger Huerta been?
I don't
He's
even
been
know.
fighting?
I didn't even know where he emerged
This is my first
from.
time hearing Roger Huerta's name.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Cover boy of the Sports Illustrated back in 2006, I think it was, UFC 69.
that is
Yeah,
crazy.
crazy. So anyway, that was happening on Saturday. Whiteford won.
Okay.
Yeah. And then was on Brad Pickett's shoulders. I don't know why they don't air those in America. And also, I mean, going up against UFC Paris probably. Tough.
Yeah.
Best sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it probably wouldn't have gotten that much for them anyway.
So Saturday was fun because all that was going on. And in particular, the Paris cards are amazing. Friday for me was fascinating because I actually really wanted to go to the Top Rank card in New York City at the theater, formerly known as the Hulu Theater, now just the Madison Square Garden Theater.
I think they just called it the theater.
People still do the whole like I'm fighting at MSG thing, even though it's not quite.
But to be,
No, it's not.
you don't have to. The theater is such a great venue.
It is
It
iconic.
really is.
It is iconic, but like it's the theater.
it's not
like, It's
MSG.
like a 25% is the size of MSG
Yeah.
as well.
It's not. It's not MSG.
I saw someone do it recently. I think Wembley has a similar setup.
Yeah, they do.
And they were like,
They have
we're,
like a
we're-
side arena.
We're
Yeah.
at Wembley, and then you
OVO,
find out
yeah.
more. And yeah, it's the OVO
Yeah.
arena, and it holds like 1/10 of what.
Oh yeah, it's like an actual small arena. But I wanted to go because it was a solid card, but I thought the main event was a really interesting one. Welterweight title fight, Mikaela Mayer against Sandy Ryan of the UK. And man, this card was dragging because it was college football on it was a Friday night card. By the time the main event happened, it was 12:30 a.m. Eastern, which is super late, I think, for a New York City card. But I mean, we get this with the UFC, but this was in a pay-per-view. And you guys may have seen this. This is a crazy freaking story. Sandy Ryan and Mikaela Mayer, for those that don't know, Mikaela Mayer, the Olympian, have had this beef, and a lot of it stems from a trainer switching sides. And all throughout the week, they were, very heated. There's a picture at the face-offs where Mikaela Mayer is giving her the finger, is giving Sandy the finger. And it was just a very heated fight and all kinds of stuff on social media. all of a sudden, I'm looking on Twitter about like Friday at 10 p.m. and there's a picture of Sandy Ryan covered in red paint.
Yeah.
And so then I look on the Matchroom feed, and then I kind of start bouncing around. And as we've come to learn, the story is Sandy Ryan, who is not from the United States, who is not clearly from New York, she's exiting her hotel 2.5 hours before the fight. She's walking, and they actually have footage of her leaving the hotel, and she's walking out, and all of a sudden someone is waiting for her with a bucket of red paint, douses her with the red paint, and then jumps in a car that was waiting and flies off. And so now all of a sudden, luckily for her, it didn't get in her eye. I don't know what would happen if someone just like nails you in the face, and maybe they were just aiming to screw her up. But here's a person who's going out to battle, and you can't disregard this stuff. She's going out to battle. She's got her game face on. She's mentally ready. She's about to go to MSG Theater to fight there on this big stage on ESPN to fight for the belt, all that stuff. And all of a sudden, you have to go back into the hotel, wash it all off. It doesn't come off just like that. It was a little bit on her body. It was on her clothes. It goes through the clothes. And you got to like reprogram your brain to the point where when she got to the arena, there were some people saying you should pull out. Now, credit to her manager, Brian Peters, never said that she should pull out. But in her interview with Mark Kriegel, it was very clear that she was very emotional and very bothered by this. And then when you watch the fight, which, by the way, if you haven't watched the fight, if you're at home right now and you have ESPN Plus, put it on after this. It's the best female fight of the year. And Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano have a lot of work to do if they want to trump it. But she fought with bad intentions. Like, it looked like someone who wanted to go out there and knock her opponent's head off because she was pissed. And maybe that was part of her undoing. She ended up losing a majority decision. I thought she lost 6-4. But the thing is, maybe if she, kind of puts her punches together and is a little more calm and relaxed, maybe she's able to get the victory. She's more of a natural welterweight. But this is a crazy story because then it emerges that all up and down the block around her hotel in MSG, someone had plastered flyers with her face on it, referring to her in very not nice terms, calling her a home wrecker, like all this stuff, like with like mugshots of her.
God, I only saw the picture of the pain and like her being
no,
like,
this was like a calculated effort to mess with her.
When she got back to the hotel, the flyers were posted everywhere.
Fight week.
Oh, so
leading
this
up
already happened.
Yes. So she put out a statement on Monday saying like, I was told for my safety to leave New York, to go back home. I'm back home now. But she was messed up.
This is crazy.
Now, she is insinuating, let's be honest, she is insinuating that Mikaela had something to do with this. No one is actually pointing the finger at her. She claims that they have CCTV footage, that the NYPD has it. Let's just play the game. If, in fact, it comes down, like, first of all, the rematch is going to be huge because of all this. Like, you could package this together and sell
how
it.
The fight itself was,
the fight itself is amazing.
All this
yes,
stuff.
It's fantastic. But man, like this is, it's not quite Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan level, but this is some crazy shit.
If it comes to light that is true and it can be confirmed in some kind of way, yeah that's nuts and will make for an insane rematch.
I couldn't even, like, there were people saying like, oh, who cares? It's just paint, whatever. Like, no, man, you're about to go fight and someone just startles you.
Dude, if I
with
walked
a bucket
outside right now
yes.
to go home and someone threw a can of paint on me, I would be like, what the fuck
yes.
is going on right now? I would be startled. Yeah.
And then you have to go back into your room, shower, change, this and that, go back to now you're late.
Now you're leaving again, and you're just like, is this shit about to happen again?
Well, just think about how many times we've heard like a fighter like, something was off in the locker room.
Yeah.
I didn't have this, that, the right music didn't play. I didn't get to my work on time. This is like
I got a
the
bucket
next
of red
level.
paint on me.
Right
and then
before
the
I'm leaving.
flyers too. Like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, totally messed with her. But it was an amazing fight. I just never seen. I joked on Twitter that it was something out of a WCW Thunder episode in 1999. And for those that don't understand the reference, like Thunder was just a real shit show of a program. And it's like, what you did like a hit and run with a bucket of paint to screw
the fact that he had the getaway car. Was great.
What the hell? So anyway, that was supremely weird. And I feel bad for her.
Is there any story behind these claims, like on the poster, home wrecker, all this? Like, is there like drama?
There's some
story
stuff.
there?
Yeah, there's some accusations.
I might have to do some reading when I get home.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Messy.
Unfair. you should just fight. And by the way, I was wondering, it's like, all right, Kayla seems like a really good person. We've had her on the show. She's an Olympian. She does great broadcasting work as well. Like, is it possible it was just like a gambler? You know, like maybe it was just someone who put a lot of money on the fight.
It's possible it's anybody. That's the thing that's so crazy about it.
But there's no chance it's just a coincidence, right? That some random dude was just waiting to douse some random person.
No, that's like premeditated.
Right?
100%.
I would think
Flyers, too, throughout the week. Like, that doesn't just happen.
What you normally see that is the paint thing is like when you see people with furs, the PETA people come and throw.
Right.
Like that's kind of the thing.
By the way, does it like mess up your skin?
I mean, it's paint. It's not great.
It takes a while to get it off, right?
Probably annoying to get off,
annoying. Ruin your clothes.
Oh, yeah, clothes ruined for sure.
Anyway, so that was super weird. The day before Friday, Thursday, we actually got the PFL pay-per-view main card. I want to talk about this a little bit. Yeah, October 19th, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom Arena. Almost exactly 1 year to the day of the Francis Ngannou-Tyson Fury fight, which really kickstarted this whole Riyadh season experience, Turkey Al Sheikh and all that stuff. So here we are, October 19th, 9 days removed from the 1 year anniversary. There were a lot of questions about how the card would look. There are still some questions about the pay-per-view price tag. I'm currently hearing $49.95, and I want to ask you guys about that in a moment. But this is the main card as it stands right now, and knock on wood, if it stands as it is right now, this is, in my opinion, the best PFL card of all time, and you can make a case best Bellator card if you want to combine the two. Francis Ngannou against Renan Ferreira for the PFL Heavyweight Super Fights Championship is what they're calling it. Chris Cyborg against Larissa Pacheco, finally the return of Cyborg for the PFL Featherweight Super Fights Championship. AJ McKee against Paul Hughes. Johnny Eblin against Fabian Edwards, which I love that fight. The first fight was fantastic. Zafar Mohsen of Germany against Hussein Khadimagomeyev of Switzerland. That was the fifth fight added, and maybe not the blockbuster. But if you ask me, Rafion Stotts is on the prelims as well. Nacho Campos on the prelims as well. And there's some other familiar names. The top four fights are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, you're getting Francis Ngannou to fight in the PFL. That right there is already the biggest win the PFL may have ever had. And then you're getting the best female fight that you can put on in the entire PFL, Cyborg versus Pacheco.
One of the best female fights in MMA.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I don't know why I'm narrowing it down to the PFL. And then you're getting massive prospect in Paul Hughes against the stud in AJ McKee. Like they have built this thing beautifully.
This is the vision for what PFL Bellator always could be, right? You are taking your top talent across the promotion and putting them in fights. That's what you want.
And then the rematch of Eblin and Edwards. First fight was incredible.
Yeah, McKee Hughes is a tremendous fight.
Talk about like taking a step up. If Paul Hughes is able to do what he's done to his past opponents, to AJ McKee, wow, it'll be crazy.
Francis fighting 7 months after getting brutally knocked out. Several months, of course, after losing his son, which is unfathomable, and who would have blamed him if he would have taken a year off after that?
Yeah.
To return against someone like Renan Ferreira, who isn't a household name, but supremely tough. I know he's coming off a knockout win over Ryan Bader, who isn't a natural heavyweight. We were off when that press conference happened, and we'll talk more about this closer, but like the comments about this is going to be his toughest thing, like all of that, really weird. We talked to Eric Nixick about this on the live show, but just like how Francis is going to look, his return to MMA. Historically, we've seen guys go to boxing and not look the same when they return to MMA, coming off his first knockout loss. All these things, like that in its own right is worth the price of admission. Pacheco's on the rise. Cyborg, is she on the back nine? Is she still the force? We'll find out. Eblin is the man, right? I mean, tough fight in February, but Fabian is Leon's brother. We just saw Leon lose. I saw a lot of people say, I'm in. I saw a lot of people say, better than some UFC. I'm like, all right, let's relax because this is the best that they have to offer. And it's really just like a 4-fight pay-per-view card, but it's worth it in my opinion. But I wonder if people are going to buy it for $49.95. Are people going to buy it for $49.95, or should they have taken a page out of Turkey, who gave Joshua Dubois for $20, and all of a sudden people are like, yes,
$20.
Should
have done it for $20.
I'll push back a little bit. I think there's probably a sweet spot in the middle. You have to make Francis Ngannou feel big. You have to make it an attraction.
Sure.
If you go to 20, you are admitting.
But AJ was 20.
I agree.
It's different. It's
Why?
different. Because
AJ was the one who came off the win, and they gave it for 20.
it's boxing and it matters like what the pairing is, what the promotion. MMA, this promotion in particular, it is about the one
AJ Dubois.
person. It's the fight itself, though.
Yeah.
It's the hoopla, it's the spectacle around it. AJ's stock is going to be fine no matter what. This is Francis Ngannou's PFL debut. You're now saying he's outside the UFC. There's expectations that come with that. If you price this at 20, you get like
more pay-per-view. I'm a business novice. I think you would generate more money selling it at $20 than selling it at $50.
I agree with you, but okay. So here's how I'll say it. What's the next level after this? How can you put on a better card that costs more money after this?
There is
your
no
best.
next level. You just keep it at $20 until people actually buy the pay-per-views.
It's not gonna.
How many pay-per-view buys did they do for the championships last year?
There's
3,000.
They're going to spend so much money that $20 pay-per-view buys are just not going to get it. Now, don't get me wrong. I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mostly agree with you. They will sell more, and probably the net return would be more money. But you have to set an expectation that Francis Ngannou is still the guy who headlines UFC pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And now he's on our pay-per-view. But you would make more money if you sold it at 20. But I think you have to maintain that.
What is it? UFC these days? Is it 85?
Freaking $90,000.
But by the way, when you
Still
compare it
80?
to that, it's still like 50%
Yeah.
less,
Right,
right?
it's cheaper,
I think
but I
it's-
just don't know how many people are going to shell out.
I
for
think this is
for the
worth a
PFL product.
pay-per-view price. I think
Yeah.
this is worth the pay-per-view
Me too.
price.
$20.
what is your level of interest in the top 4 fights?
High.
15 out of 10.
Yeah,
Yeah,
must-watch
yeah.
television. If you're an MMA fan, you're watching these fights, no doubt
This
about
is,
it.
I mean, what's like? Let's do the opposite, right? Let's do the inverse. What's missing? It's like what Doumbé, Patchy Mix. Like what else could you possibly like? What are you looking for if not this? This is the best.
Yeah, let's just play pass-fail, 1-0, yes, no. I will 1,000% be watching these fights.
Yeah.
By the way, wasn't Doumbé on this card too?
Nay, I wish he was.
Gosh, that would be crazy. If that was the 5th fight, you throw Doumbé in there?
Why am I thinking it was? I guess he was supposed to be. He was supposed to fight Anthony Pettis.
And now he's not though.
Wow, if they had Doumbé Pettis as the 5th
that's-
fight on here,
this is my
jeez
point, though, like,
Louise.
It doesn't. This
Then
is
you could charge $21.
this is the best you're gonna get from them, and so I'm in. Yeah, 100%.
Man,
I'm in.
Doumbé on the 5th fight.
I mean,
perfect. But you know what? Maybe you keep him for France.
that's another thing. Like you
You always keep him for France.
you blow all this, and then it's like, what do we do now?
That's the truth. Yeah.
You really do have to have some things in the chamber.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up on October 19th. There's a lot of big shows coming up. UFC 307, of course, is this weekend as well. UFC 307 is a sneaky good card, guys. It's a flying under the radar card. And we'll have, by the way, on the YouTube channel, a bit of an extended preview as far as UFC 307 is concerned specifically. But we weren't on the air when they announced this, and I was loving it. When Khalil Rountree listen, I get it. He's coming off the PED thing. He was later somewhat cleared. He
Yeah.
was able to come back. It's a little wonky. His last fight was in December. He's fighting a bunch of Apex fights. He doesn't have a traditional number 1 contender fight. It's a little Frankie Edgar-esque when he got his title shot. When you're like, oh, this is. And now I'm starting to forget the guy. I always used to remember his name. But it's like it's not clean. And Magomed Ankalaev deserves the title shot.
For sure.
And there's no doubt about that. There's from a meritocracy standpoint, there is no doubt about that. But from an entertainment standpoint, there's no doubt in my mind that this fight is infinitely more entertaining. And there's no doubt in my mind that this fight won't be entertaining when it goes down on Saturday at the Delta Center. I love this fight.
Correct. How can you not love this fight? I mean, what are we lining at? Like over under 0.5 takedowns on Saturday. I mean, what is the line on that? I think this is just going to be a kickboxing
I think it's
match.
under.
Minus 5,000.
That's what I'm saying. What is the underlined at for that? I feel like it's like minus 1,000. I just don't see either of these dudes going for a takedown. I think it's just going to be a kickboxing match, and whoever catches who first is going to be the winner.
Matt Veach, by the way, was the guy that Frankie Edgar beat on the Ultimate
Matt
Fighter
Veach.
season 10 finale. I feel like Khalil has a chance. I feel like this is a
course he
trap
has a
game
chance.
for Alex. There's some big things happening. He's popular. He's out there. He's become a superstar. Khalil is freaking focused. I mean, I reached out to Khalil to do an interview, and they were like, "No, we're keeping it all in." Now, is this
I have
a problem?
to admit, this bothers me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it is only going to increase from here. you're who you are and you're asking for an interview and it's early and they're saying no, we're going to get to media day. We're going to get to press conference.
It's a fair point.
Obligations, the expectations, everything is going to ratchet up. Are you going to be too bothered by that to be as focused as you could possibly be?
This is a guy who's talked about
a
the
notable
mental side of the game. This guy who said, I like to fight at the Apex because there's a little less attention on me.
That worries me a bit.
It's going to be raucous.
Apex.
Yeah,
that worries me.
When Alex Pereira is making his walk on Saturday night and he does the bow and arrow and the whole crowd is going crazy, 18,000 people, you ain't in the Apex anymore. That is for sure.
Here's what's so fascinating about this thing in general. First of all, we talked about like what's the price of the PFL pay-per-view. Like this is the UFC pay-per-view. This fight alone, people are going to pay for this. This one fight topping this. People want
this is the fight you sit your friend down after a few beers and you're like, this is the one we got to lock in for, man. Like I know it's the main event, but this is about to be sick.
So here's the here's the plus side. The plus side is Khalil Rountree is extremely dangerous and he's standing across from somebody who's going to stand and strike with him. Here's the downside. He's standing across from perhaps the best striker in all of MMA and one of the best strikers on the planet, and that's a really tough challenge. Like his best skill is in the wheelhouse of the other man.
Yes.
That is
but
hard.
If
he can do it,
He obviously is live. He has a chance. When you can hit as hard as he does and you're going to get the fight. Like, this is the fight that Khalil Rountree wants.
This is what you want.
To stand and trade. It just might not work out for him. So he's live to win. I just don't know if he's going to.
Does it bother you guys that they didn't give it to Ankalaev? Like, he's like literally right there.
It doesn't really bother me because I do like this fight more, and like we've said a million times
from a
on this
sporting
show, like
standpoint.
the UFC is not a league that operates in meritocracy, so it just sort of it is what it is. I feel bad for Magomed Ankalaev. Now he has to go up against Rakic, who's an absolute killer, but
I feel like I would be a hypocrite if I didn't mention this because I'm the one who talks about like Leon not getting the love and Bilal didn't get the opportunity. Like, so
I mean, he just isn't really he doesn't have that star power, man. I mean, you look at Shavkat Rakhmonov and he's just like, all right, Bilal, it's time for me and you to fight in the title, and it's got 25,000 likes on Twitter, and then you see Magomed Ankalaev tweeting out to his 10,000 followers like, it's time that I get the title shot, and he gets 400 likes. I mean, you have to like realize.
Should it always be about
that reach? No, I'm not saying it should always be about that, but you see the reach that these guys have by looking at stuff like that.
Should doesn't matter. Like there is no should. Meritocracy hasn't existed in the UFC for a long time.
Yeah.
We get the title shots when we like. Is Chito Vera more deserving than Merab Dvalishvili? Is Tom Aspinall sidelined because we need the Stipe and John fight? Like, it just doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't existed for a long time.
Imagine if it was Magomed versus Alex this weekend, and imagine Magomed wins in a 2-month stretch that saw Bilal beat Leon, Merab beat Sean, and that would have been a tough situation for
Dana
the UFC,
White,
right?
Man, who would have been Dana Pink that night for sure.
That's the perfect way to frame it, though, because think about, like, if Khalil pulls it off, he's this, like, oh my God, who's this mystery man that just annihilated, I'm assuming it would be a knockout, right? Like, who's this mystery man that just knocked out Alex Pereira? Oh my God, and he's the next star. He's somebody you can like kind of springboard that on.
Yeah.
Magomed Ankalaev goes out there and kind of like decisions Alex Pereira. You don't get that. That's just
Khalil has such an amazing story as well. His father was murdered. He was a bodyguard for Boys to Men. Fascinating guy.
If you haven't seen him, go back and watch Ariel's interviews with him. Like, he's an extremely
very deep
fascinating
thinker.
character.
Yes, he's has an incredible story. He's thoughtful. He speaks English perfectly, obviously. He's got style. Like, you've come on, he's talked about, how much he loves clothes. He's just a very deep person that fans can get behind if he comes in here as a massive underdog and knocks out Alex Pereira.
I love the fight. I can't wait for it. He's newly married to our friend Mia Kang.
Oh, congrats. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I didn't.
Oh, yeah. They recently got married, so well done to the both of them. Right now, he's a pretty big dog, yeah?
Plus 375.
Anything you like? I mean, this is usually the show where you give anything. We're doing anything for a pick?
Oh, I'm going to be taking some dogs. I think I'm going to take Carlos Esparza as a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, Juliana Pena.
Let's go.
We're
boys.
Like, if we're not all betting on Juliana Pena, I don't know why we even do this program. Frankie, can I get an amen back there?
Amen.
Yeah.
Frank, we watching the fights together on Saturday? I feel like this is our only opportunity for a long time.
I'll get my people to talk to
Wow.
That's the biggest no I've ever heard in my life.
Wow. If you still lived in Jersey, I would have thrown it out there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jersey or Brooklyn.
He believed you.
Yeah.
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson as a dog? He's like a plus 170 to Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah, what's Buckley?
Minus 200. Jose
How do you feel
Aldo.
about that? How do you feel about that?
I'm probably gonna take
Wonder Boy.
Yeah,
Wonder Boy is-
Wonder Boy's a stud. Joaquin
This
obviously
is a perfect fight for
incredible
Wonder
run.
Boy. Not another Shafkat, you know?
Yeah, you're getting a dude who's probably gonna
I
stand
feel
and
like
strike with
Buckley's
you.
gonna.
This is
I feel like
time?
Buckley's gonna wrestle.
Okay, well you go bet Buckley. I'll be
Interesting.
I'll be
Yeah,
on
Interesting.
I think Buckley's gonna try and grapple.
Jose Aldo, have to bet him as a dog.
Dog.
Have to. Plus
Against Mario
120.
Bautista.
Yeah, I have to. I'm on some dogs this week.
Pena, how big of a dog?
Like plus 150 right now.
So it's pretty close.
It's close to even.
So this is a big one. This is one of those, like, it's not quite DC Stipe for me, but it's like Pena has become a part of the program.
Oh, this
I
is a
didn't know
big
where
one.
you were going.
But-
Now I understand.
yeah.
Emotionally,
Investment,
like
yeah.
that I really want to see someone win. Yeah, I also just like for a myriad of reasons. The fact that the connection to the show, she like really dove into Parlay Pals. Every time she comes on, she's such a pleasant person, and also her winning pushes the bantamweight division forward.
Yeah, and
It's
so
better
let's-
when she's champ.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. But first, I do want to note it's a historic title fight. It's the first time in the history of the UFC that a member of the Parlay Pals fights for the belt.
Yes, there we
Yeah.
go. I was wondering
First
where you were
time-
going
yes,
with
yes.
that. I was just like, what
You
is
gave
this,
me the
a-
look like, yep,
a
yep.
tough rematch. I
Yeah,
was
no,
just
it's historic.
Yeah,
That's the most ESPN stat ever. Like, you know how ESPN's always like
Yeah.
the first to 6.3 rebounds per
Yeah.
game. Like they pick the arbitrary. Like that's.
I will have my Plino Cruz Coach of the Year shirt on
yeah.
under my.
You have one?
Oh yeah. Shout out Big Plino. Under my Venezuelan Vixen hoodie
love it.
on Saturday, and it'll just go co-main, hoodie off, straight into the. It's gonna be great because I don't know. I haven't decided where I'm gonna watch the fights, but
Well,
where.
you're going to Frank's, right? Frank, what are you wearing when you guys meet up?
Frank has a cat. I can't go over there. I'm definitely allergic to cats.
sorry.
Plus, I've never gotten the invite. You know, it's been over 3 years.
It's in the mail.
Ooh, wow.
You keep
He's
moving
come to-
addresses. It's hard to
He's
keep
come to
up.
multiple of my apartments on countless
in different
occasions.
states.
True friend
Different states.
goes to all the apartments. You
Never-
never even been once.
Never got the invite to come to yours. But wherever I'm going to be with people, and I will be rocking the Venezuelan Vixen hoodie.
So what's the level of confidence? She hasn't fought since July
10.
2022. Come on.
10.
Raquel's been active.
Don't
she
care.
wins the belt in January. You think she could do it?
Can?
Will. Wow.
Come on, man.
I wish she was watching this live right now. This would give her a little extra boost.
She doesn't need a boost.
Send her the audio,
This
Frank.
is in the bag. I'm betting on her. I'm supporting her mentally, emotionally.
And look, if the UFC were scripting this, they would never admit it. She wins. Kayla wins against Caitlin. I'm assuming Caitlin's a dog.
Oh God, yeah.
You're not taking that one.
Minus 800, Caleb.
And then
Oh, for real? Wow.
minus 750.
That's steeper than I
Wow.
thought.
Plus
Okay.
525, Ketlin.
Oh, why?
and
oh my God.
then you do Kayla versus Juliana, which the build will be fantastic.
Bingo.
No one sells fights better than Juliana right now in the women's division. Can I say from like a trash talking standpoint? Don't get all crazy
Pennington
on me.
said herself, she was like, the only reason Penya's even getting this is because of her mouth.
Yeah.
And then the winner fights Nunes. Both of them have a history.
There
of
it
Nunes.
is.
Kayla Nunes ATT. Pena has the win over Nunes, the loss in the rematch.
What do you do if Pennington wins? Kayla versus Pennington.
Kayla
Yeah,
versus
Kayla versus
Pennington.
Pennington.
And then
Kayla
and then
wins.
Dana White prays to
Yeah.
the gods that Kayla wins.
Listen, fair play to Pennington. Another one of those people we were talking about, Moicano, like about a 500 fighter, and then all of a sudden has kind of broken through and gone on a run here. And obviously Nunes retiring helped her out because maybe she wasn't getting another crack at Nunes if Nunes was still a champ, because the first time they fought in May of 2018 was not a close fight at all. But she beat Bueno Silva. I don't remember if she was the dog or not in that fight.
She was.
She was, yeah.
So there you
A
go.
lot of people loved Myra Buena in that
Yeah.
fight.
You can only beat who's in front of you, and she did. And
I have
she's
nothing
a champ.
against Raquel
Yeah.
Pennington. She's just going against
One
our
of our
champ.
own.
Yeah.
She's one of our own.
the uncrowned champ. Juliana
Wow.
Well
Juliana,
done.
You.
Well done. Yeah, I mean everything we touch goes to gold these days, like the crown. By the way, how about the fact that ever since I went on that rant on Sky Sports, Brendan Johnson hasn't not scored a goal in a game. It's
Yeah,
pretty
they
remarkable.
had an
4 for 4.
Unbelievable performance yesterday against Man U.
4 for 4.
Yeah.
You know what we're talking about here, right?
I've seen your
I think they
tweet
got you
about
out.
it, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
the
While
apology
we get
tour.
into other sports, did you guys watch Game of the Century, Georgia Bama on Saturday night?
I didn't want to bring it up.
I actually, a lot of Georgia fans are so angry, but we went down 28-0, climb all the way back, 34-33, end up losing, but it was an unbelievable game.
So are you
One
out of the
best
playoffs now?
No.
'Cause it's 12 teams,
Expanded
right?
to 12. It's like the NFL. That's why I'm not so heartbroken about it. Lot of football in front of us. We still got Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee. I think we'll still get in.
Did you watch this, Rick?
No.
God, it was
I don't
such a
watch
good game.
college.
Did you see any of the highlights? It was
Even
everywhere.
college
It was going
basketball.
Nuclear.
No.
You don't
I
watch
don't-
college
I don't-
basketball? March
This
Madness?
is going to get me in trouble. I'll watch March Madness only because it's a cultural thing.
Wow.
I don't like college sports because as I'm watching, every bit of me knows that 90% of these players are not going to go on to be professionals. And I can't
just
watch
for the
it's not
pageantry, for the
not top level.
excitement.
Like I don't watch regional MMA for the same reason. It's just
Wow.
not the right level.
Don't tell Kaposa this. Don't tell Kaposa.
Absolutely insane at Bryant Denny. Well, also I will say, like, 75% of these guys are going to go pro who's on Bama and Georgia.
Those two teams specifically, but I'm sure there's a lot of parents cheering in the high school gym when your local guy's playing, but it's not there for me.
I'm not anti-college football. I just don't have any room left in my brain for it.
It just always blows my mind because it just feels like everything you love about sports
is the pageantry, it's right there.
Is college football.
I think it's because I didn't grow up with a team and I have no emotion. I need an emotional connection. You would think maybe Syracuse, but it just wasn't quite there for me while I was there,
I was here in Manhattan. I was at a Georgia bar, and like when they took the lead, it was absolute chaos. Pandemonium, yes. Do
you have a Georgia group text thread?
Yeah, with some of the guys that I went to school with. Everyone's texting like crazy. Everyone's
add me to that.
And we're probably texting about like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm up and down. Like my heart, I'm getting whoop alerts. Shout out to Wood. I'm getting whoop alerts for like your heart rate is spiking right now because Georgia's taking the lead, and you guys are like, did you guys see? The thumbnail for the video on
the PFL.
Stevie Ray with a twister.
Yeah. We're like, what? Is your phone even on you?
I did have my phone on me. Actually, I lost it for like a minute. Everyone went so crazy, and I guess it was like on my lap or something. And
you lost it at the bar?
Yeah, waitress came by like 20 minutes later. Was like, "Is this anybody's telephone?" I'm like, "Yep, that's me." The guys really would have gotten mad if I just lost it because I don't know if I would have gotten another one.
By the way, speaking of viewing choices, has anyone watched the Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix?
I watched it from start to finish.
You finished it?
I finished it in one day.
Wait, you don't have Netflix?
No, I need to get what
is wrong with you?
Short subscription.
How are you gonna watch Jake Paul, Mike Tyson?
Well, I'll have it by then. But there was a guy on the train today watching it on his phone. I was peering over.
You've not seen any of it?
Well, I saw the 5 minutes that I watched over this guy's shoulder.
Okay, so I actually. So it took me 5 viewings to get through 20 minutes. No joke.
How?
Last week my wife was away, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to watch this in bed. Undoubtedly,
this is the problem already.
I've heard it's captivating. Once you start, you can't stop.
I've been foaming at the mouth.
And this is your world.
This is my world. It's almost like you give a kid a piece of chocolate and you just want to. The kid wants to nibble it because he's afraid.
Yeah, you want to savor.
So I keep thinking, okay, I'm going to savor. So everyone, it's hard to put 3 kids to bed, walk the dog,
For
this
sure,
and that.
for
So I sit there and I'm like, yes, now I get to watch. 5 minutes later, sleep
on the telephone. You don't pull it up on the big screen.
on the phone.
Why?
Yeah, and then what undoubtedly happens is, okay, next night I come and I'm like, well, I don't remember any of this, so I have to go back. So then I go back. Like
what are the
3
watching
minutes.
conditions for this second night?
Every night. It was Monday, Tuesday. It came out Tuesday, Wednesday,
what
Thursday,
are the
Friday.
Laying in bed on your telephone
for the second night? You're
exact
on the bed
same
again. What is wrong?
Yeah.
with
And so when you do this, your arm just goes limp, and you just wake up.
1,000,000%.
20 minutes
That's
later,
it.
you're like, oh shit!
It's over.
You're setting yourself up for
and
failure.
and I'm like, this is so good. I want more of it. And then 4 seconds later,
I love this.
Brother,
Go in the living room.
3
get
minutes.
Get
No,
the
man.
big screen. Get the sound bar.
I can't get into it.
Get the lamp on. Get cozy. You love the peppermint tea. Get some peppermint tea
would
and just
love
lock
nothing more.
in, man.
You know when somebody does I'm just gonna close my eyes. I'm gonna rest my eyes.
Yeah.
You know it's sleep. You know that you're not
I
getting
know.
through more than 3 minutes.
So I kept inching. Today, this morning, weirdly enough, our dog Matcha, for some reason, wouldn't shut up at like 4:30 in the morning. We let her bark till like 5:15, and finally I say, I can't take it. So I take her for a walk. She had to go to the bathroom, which never happens. Never. So now it's like, now I have a good 45 minutes before I have to wake up the kids. I say, I'm going to watch Vince McMahon. So I finished episode 1 this
in one
morning.
shot.
I thought you were going to say
episode 1, yeah.
I thought you were going to say you fell back asleep.
No.
Masha was looking out for you.
I was going to say,
it was a great way to start the day.
The Vince
I
McMahon
watched
doc.
it, and now I'm on to
It's
episode
almost like
2.
watching it in bed right before you're about to fall asleep isn't the best move, and
No,
watching it in the morning.
I just don't. Well, when am I going to do this?
How many
How
episodes
did
is
you
it?
find that time to do this?
I stayed up late.
Eight
I know,
episodes?
both y'all with
6.
Both y'all with 3 kids is nuts.
It's tough, man.
My brother
I just
has
stayed
3
up and
kids.
marathoned
I've
it.
experienced it.
It's
It's a
madness.
monster. Yeah.
Okay, so you've watched it all.
Yep.
How long did it take to watch it all?
6 hours. I watched it straight through.
One
Wow,
shot?
damn.
What? What
Oh,
time did you
were
start?
What were your viewing
I
conditions?
started sometime in like the late afternoon and then went to
Yo,
evening.
wow.
I love it.
So the hardcore wrestling fans hate
my
it.
watching conditions threw it on the TV and just watched it. Like I was not like about to do a phone, falling asleep. No, I was like,
big
I gotta watch
screen
this
every time. I have a giant TV for a reason.
Internet wrestling community is like, oh, I knew all of this. And then other people are just like, oh, this is fascinating. And then some people are like, oh, we needed more on the recent stuff. Where do you fall?
I was in the middle somewhere where I was like, I don't feel like it was a waste of my time, right? I'm not like, oh, I knew all this. Oh my God, I can't believe I watched that. But I also did know a majority of that. And I wouldn't consider myself like a super hardcore wrestling fan, as we know. Like, I know enough. I like the business of it and all those things, but I'm not like super hardcore. But it felt like, as a documentary, let's compare it to The Last Dance, just because that's like one that everybody has watched and everybody knows. I feel like The Last Dance, in addition to just like the footage and things that we haven't seen in so long and the revelations there, it had a story to it, right? The story of like, this is Michael Jordan's story, and here's like, and the characters that come in. This felt much more straightforward from a documentary perspective, where it's like, we have this person, they're going to talk about this thing in history, and we're just going to advance chronologically. It's all just going to be a timeline, right? Last Dance is jumping around, telling this narrative. It's all just like...
You also had Jordan.
And it had, I mean, certainly. But look, this had John Cena, The Rock, all the biggest names, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Now, could you clarify something for me before I get into it? Is it like a glorification of Vince McMahon, or is it scandalization?
It's trying to be down the middle to its credit, right? It's trying to be objective. It's trying to tell it
here's
from a
what
news
he
perspective.
did, but also here's what he did.
Right. It told that. I will say it minimized a lot of the not like
minimized.
try to like sweep them away to say like we're not going to address this, but it was not the focal point of the doc, right? Okay. You would expect at this timing that's going to be like, oh my God, this is the huge part of it. It was very small. It was not a lot of time dedicated to it. Now, do I feel like they were fair and tried to do it objectively and faithfully? Yes, but it just was. It is a megaton bomb, and it was not like the focal point of it because it was trying to do all this. But it was just this chronological telling of his rise and wrestling. Like the first episode, as you know,
yeah, I enjoyed
just like
that.
The history of wrestling. So it felt like I'll say it this way: it was not the documentary that I am looking for. I want more of an emotional journey, a story. This was very like news. It was very like, we're walking through this timeline.
This happened.
Stone Cold is going to tell you about this. Bret Hart is going to tell you about this. The Rock is going to tell you about this.
But we've never had a package revolving his career like this to where we could watch it side by side, hour after hour. So when I found out that, The Ringer was a part of it and all that, because of their relationship, and this is not a knock on them, obviously, I love those guys, I knew that we weren't going into the underbelly. WWE was involved initially.
Yeah.
So for him to participate, it was only going to reach a certain level. I listened to Bill Simmons and David Shoemaker, who I love and respect as well. They kind of, in their interview, it seemed like they kind of knew that the internet wrestling community would say, oh, I knew all of this. Well, to me, it doesn't, like, how many times have we watched movies that we know or looked back on old episodes of things like, obviously we've never seen this before, but just reliving the nostalgia. And even in that episode 1, and I've seen a bunch of interviews on the making of WrestleMania 1 and docs on it and whatnot, there was still some footage there that I had not seen, and some old photos and things like that. To have it all as a package, to me, is noteworthy. I'm not expecting them to go into I guess it's just all about your expectations. The part that I can't wait for, because I've seen some clips, and I wonder how much more is out there. I tried to avoid all the clips, but all of a sudden, like on Tuesday, my whole algorithm on Twitter was just Vince McMahon documentary stuff.
Yeah.
I'm most fascinated by Stephanie and Shane. The kids talking about the dad, who they have a conflicted relationship with, who they know has done X, Y, and Z. I'm just most interested in that. I don't know how much of that we get.
Do you want me to tell you?
Not really.
Yeah,
but it's good, right?
I'm going to start it tonight.
It's good. Wait, how are you going to start it? Are you going to sign up for Netflix?
You guys want to hook me up with a password?
Can you share?
Nah, that's why I don't have it. Password sharing's dead. So I just got to get a subscription.
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch it. I know for most people, they've watched it already, and they're like, well, hurry up. Yeah.
It's going to take this guy 3 months.
Yeah. They're going to be waiting for a long time.
I did actually, when I went to Paris, I downloaded the 4-part Who Killed WCW documentary series. Have you guys seen that?
I have not.
Made by Vice, the creators of Dark Side of the Ring. That was a lot of fun. It's easy for me on a trip, on a plane.
Because you have nothing else to do.
YouTube Premium, man. YouTube Premium is the life changer of all life changers for me. For traveling,
Frankie,
thank you.
Me and Frankie came
Huge.
It's the
What I
only
do
way to YouTube.
before, like I go to AJ and Dubois, I download like every interview that I could find, everything that I could find, every segment, and you just have like 3 hours of great content.
Plus, like, dude, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, the avoidance of ads is just.
Oh, we love ads.
I know, but I went back to normal YouTube, like non-YouTube premium. And
Nah,
it's
yeah, ads
like,
are great.
No,
Love it.
ads are good.
Ads are good. Nah, it's good stuff.
Where do you think YouTube fits in?
Speaking of money, by the way,
Yes.
if you guys don't mind, there was some other news regarding the UFC lawsuit. Did you guys see this news?
Did, yes.
This also came out on Thursday at the same time around as the PFL news. And I'm going to read this courtesy of the AP, also known as the Associated Press. This came out on Thursday. The UFC reached another settlement with one of the two class action litigants, agreeing Thursday to pay the former fighters $375 million after a previous agreement was thrown out by a Nevada district judge. Judge Richard Boulware in July dismissed a $335 million settlement with two antitrust lawsuits, including one brought by Kung Lee. The new agreement by UFC parent company TKO Group Holdings is with Lee, who filed his lawsuit in 2014, and the court still must approve the terms. Quote, while we believe the original settlement was fair, a sentiment that was also shared by the plaintiffs, we feel it is in the best interest of all parties to bring this litigation to a close, the UFC said in a statement. They have still, the UFC, not reached an agreement with Cajun Johnson, the Canadian fighter who filed his in 2021. In a statement, the UFC called that was in a very early stages and a motion to dismiss the complaint remains pending. So in the end, it's for like $40 million more. The judge, Richard Boulware, who Dana White recently insinuated went to the same school as him and Lorenzo and was wondering why he had this axe to grind because he's the one who didn't approve the settlement that the fighters agreed to several months ago. It was right before we went on air. It's just for a little bit more.
But unless this is me being a layman, it's for a little bit more, but it's only for one pending lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
Now we're separating the other lawsuit. Who knows? That one could be for another.
That could be years down the line again.
Could be, but it could be for another $300 million, and now we're looking at across that. So I think there is something to note here, but at the same time, it seems like both sides do want to settle this. Like that is what we are ultimately arriving at.
They certainly want to settle it. I guess I was a little bit surprised that after the first settlement was rejected, that they didn't go to trial.
Yeah, as opposed to just trying to resettle it.
All right, let's just see. It seems like we have a judge who is favorable to us. Maybe you can read it that way. But they're going with the settlement, and I don't know. I'm not an expert when it comes to these things. Would kind of be shocked if it gets denied twice. Again, not our forte.
You would have to hope that they had some kind of like understanding of what the judge would be looking for. Like I believe there's cases where sometimes the judge kind of says, right, like this is what I'm expecting, and then if you deliver that, then we can do it. I don't know if that's been done in this case, but like you would have to hope that they know there's at least some baseline level that this will get this done. But we're gonna see. We're gonna have to see.
$375 tax write-off. This is a mere pittance for TKO.
Nearly any number they pay, if it ultimately ends this litigation and does not materially change business, is a win.
And that's the thing, right? We talked about this a few months ago. We thought maybe this would change contracts. We thought this would change the restrictions. We thought the way they're classified. This is just drop in the bucket.
Just limit the damage and move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Nothing in the sport changes. Nothing as far as the fighters change, which, some might say is disappointing, but we're not them. We're not the ones who are retired, who have bills, who have families. So if they're happy with it, God bless them. Davis and Figueiredo versus Petr Yan announced for
Beautiful
Thanksgiving weekend in Macau.
Sign me up.
We spoke to Figgy. He wanted Umar or a title shot. Do you think he's happy with this?
I mean, it's a fantastic fight from a name standpoint and from just a stylistically, just two absolute killers. I mean, I don't know if he's over the moon. He didn't get either of his wishes, but I feel like if he beats Petr Yan, he's next in line for a title.
Umar's going to be next, and if he beats Petr Yan, he will be next after that. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
I like it.
Macau, too.
Shout
out.
Yeah. They're back.
I'm excited. Yeah.
They're back. Yeah. They were going to those
I'm not
places
gonna lie.
before.
I had no idea what Macau was until I saw the last UFC Macau somewhere. It's
Serious?
like it's like Vegas of China.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. 4 a.m. main card start, I think.
Tremendous. That's great for the degenerates.
I mean, Davis and Piotr will be making the walk right around 7 a.m.
Oh, perfect. Wake up, have a bowl of cereal.
Well, I'll be up for the prelim.
You're going to do the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll be having.
Don't you love his his what is it? His joie de vivre when it comes to this. Like this is all very new to you.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
No. I mean, we've been around the block a few times now. I mean,
Yeah, but not a lot of.
Singapore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Rick's gonna put me on too. We'll go to Chinatown and eat.
Oh, yeah.
Is Fifey's coming back?
Oh yeah,
For
It's on the
Utah.
way. No, not for Utah. What would I eat for Utah?
Yeah, I don't know. What would you eat?
It's coming back
Pepsi.
for 308.
Pepsi. Why Pepsi?
Aren't they out of Utah?
Are they
Yeah, I
don't
could
think
be
so.
wrong.
Delta? Delta food?
No, Delta's Atlanta.
No, but it's the Delta Center.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mormon food? Is there anything
Bis-
like that?
Yeah, probably. Biscoff cookies. No, I'm not doing 307. No, we're coming back for 308.
Imagine you have airplane food. That would be incredible. That's exciting. People love those.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. 308, 309.
By the way, for this
Macau.
weekend, what are you going to watch? You going to watch 307 or Bad Blood, WWE Bad Blood,
That's
emanating from
two-screener, yeah.
from what is it?
Return of,
The State
Farm Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of your own.
Why don't
Cody
you
Rhodes.
go
Yeah, Cody Rhodes, my guy.
to WWE and you watch on the phone the UFC?
Yeah, plane tickets are expensive right now.
Ah, that'd be fun.
Also,
and
yeah,
then you can do
lock
the
in.
shot where you take the picture of the phone.
And then everyone's just like, how'd you get this
how'd you
picture?
get the second
Oh.
one?
I was just gonna say also thoughts with people in the southern part of the United States because of the weather.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen
Awful.
floods like
Terrible.
that in Georgia.
Is your family okay?
They're all good. They actually weren't even in Georgia, but their house is fine.
Oh, all right.
Speaking of password sharing, I use my parents' cable, so all my news is Atlanta based.
Oh, wow.
so
What do you
like
mean you use their cable?
Like I use a streaming service. They stream cable, and
Like
it
if
isn't
you
password
have
sharing.
like Spectrum, you can watch an amended version of Spectrum by logging into an account.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I log into the app, so yeah, I essentially get free cable. And
Wow.
Yeah, it's all in Atlanta.
Legal?
I don't think this company, which will remain nameless,
Okay.
probably supports password sharing. But I mean, I don't.
So,
think
and then
anyone's
can you
gonna
stream
come-
it on your TV?
Oh yeah, there's an app on my TV for this streaming service. So I just log on. I have cable. Not only do I get the news, I also get Falcons games, Braves
Oh,
games.
this seems
That's
like-
all local.
This
I get
seems
Hawks
a
games.
little sussy, as
It's
they
great.
say. Wow.
It's great. Sussy is what we're
That's
going
what-
with.
that's what
We added the Y on the
My kids say that. My kids say that.
Sussy?
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
what
like
they say.
calling it sussy makes it sound more sus.
Well, that's what they say. I'll have
but
to
yeah,
call them.
I was watching some of the local Atlanta news, and I mean, some of these floods are crazy.
Well, we wish the best to everyone. We'll wrap this up because we've gone. How long have we gone, Frank?
Who's keeping track?
No, who's keeping track?
113.
On the new feed, we're loving life. So much going on. Geez, today NBA Media Day. Love NBA
Hey,
Media
Knicks, Cat.
Day. Yeah, still working through it. We're still working through it. The
Yeah.
emotions. Dante, the big ragu. We love them.
Yeah,
Julius
I'm
gave
in
us
on
some
the
great
Knicks this
years.
year.
You're in.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Official.
I always if the Braves don't get bounced from the
As of right
playoffs,
this moment, how are we looking? As of right, I mean, this will be outdated by the
it'll
time
be
this goes
outdated.
up.
But right now, bottom eighth, they're up 3-0. So just got to get those.
Do you think they had a gentleman's agreement that they both, win a game so that they could bounce the D-backs?
I don't know, just because that
They hate each other.
they hate each other, and that first game was so nuts.
Yeah, it's true.
But
Well,
I think there was like an emotional drop off for the Mets.
Sure.
You go through that
We're
crazy
good.
game, and then you're just like, all right, we're good. Like,
Yeah.
let's just chill out. And they have to play tomorrow anyway, so they
oh, jeez.
drop the pitching.
Well, yes.
We're in every sport here, huh?
Yeah, we're doing it all. This is the new era. Carl Anthony Towns, member of the Knicks. Rick loves the deal.
I love the deal.
I was fighting through some major emotions on Friday
he talked
night.
you off the ledge for OG.
OG, yeah.
It wasn't the ledge, but like the early thing for Ariel and a lot.
I get
but
emotional.
To be fair, a lot of Knicks fans was like, "Oh my God, we're losing."
Dante.
No. I'm talking
Oh,
about
RJ,
the
and quickly.
RJ and IQ, and I was just like, "Trust me, this guy's undervalued. You're getting a great deal." I feel exactly the same about Towns. He's been undervalued around the league. You gave up nearly nothing that you're like DDV. It's great. Like I like him, but Towns is a
I
huge
know.
asset.
He spreads things. He's a legit center. They
And
had
Robinson
Precious.
is unreliable to stay healthy. Now you've got a real
Robinson's a
center.
mess of
Ooh,
a
I love
situation.
Robinson.
No, listen, a lot of emotions this weekend. Great PFL card. Tough loss at home for Nottingham Forest against Fulham. Thought we had
Yeah.
that one. Was looking to go 2-0 against Tony Khan. Of course,
First
the win
win of the
over
season.
Jacksonville on Monday. I was waiting for that tweet, and it did not work out.
Had it in the drafts.
I had it. I was looking for it. I had it. And then, of course, a stinker of a performance by the Bills against the Ravens on Sunday night. I'm sure your former roommate, was very
He was
happy
at
about
the
that.
game.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh,
he was
wow.
hyped up in
Talk about
Baltimore.
that.
Yeah, shout out to Young Wei Koo, 58 yarder to beat the Saints.
Sure.
I mean, we're just hitting it all now.
Classic.
Did you
Frank,
get to the F1 this week?
Daniel Ricciardo, happy trails. He retires. Friend of the program. Love Danny Rick.
Everyone has effectively tuned out.
Yeah. Frank, anything else you want to talk about? Any Buffalo Wing Dip
Oasis concert.
coming to New York?
Yeah, they went on
MetLife.
sale. Did you get tickets, Frank?
SummerSlam coming to MetLife as well.
I want to send love and condolences to the family of Jacob Hoffman, who is a 17-year-old senior at Bettendorf High School who passed away. He was a massive fan of this program and somebody who wrote to me like all the time. He was a really, really like thoughtful kid who was trying to become a professional sports broadcaster and was reaching out to all these people across the space, including myself and many others in the MMA community, for just like advice and trying to make it. And he passed away due to a medical condition on September 5th, and I just found out about this.
Oh.
And he wrote all the time, and he was a huge fan of the show. And so I want to send love to his family. And
Man.
God, yeah, that is horrible, dude. I hope his family is doing all right.
Love
now that
to his family, yes.
three weeks removed from him, man. I hope they're
That is
okay.
awful.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry to hear that. My condolences to his family. That is awful. And to further that somber note, Dikembe Mutombo, Atlanta legend,
Yes.
Man.
Denver net,
Brain cancer.
brain cancer out of nowhere, 58.
That's horrible, man.
Oh my!
We're
Well,
getting to the age where you just see these things, and it's like people from our childhood that were just like, wow, like I can't believe that somebody who had this place in my life
Yeah.
is now gone.
It's weird.
I have a Dikembe Mutombo jersey hanging in my closet right now.
Yeah.
And an action figure. I have an unopened, like, 1992 Dikembe Mutombo action figure, too.
Legend.
Legend.
Georgetown legend, NBA legend, humanitarian,
58
ambassador.
is young, man.
Yeah.
Well, gents, on that note, we say goodbye. We do appreciate all of you. 2 weeks to go. We got a glimpse of the new studio today. The floor is in. We're rolling, and very exciting stuff. So again, if you could just like, subscribe, do all that stuff, it goes a long way on the YouTube channel, on the feeds. And more to come on the YouTube channel later this week. Our 307 preview. Also, a new episode of The Crack on Friday. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to be popping up between now and the 14th. Have no fear. Also, final note, if you're celebrating, happy Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
Shana Tova. Happy New Year to all my friends out there. Wednesday night is the new year. And so it has been a tough year for us, but we are prevailing. And I hope it is a sweet and beautiful year for everyone around the world. Whether you celebrate or not, hopefully we all come together as one. And there's no more fighting and no more despair and no more death. Much love to you guys. This has been fun.
Much love, brother.
And we will be back. We appreciate you all. Thank you, Frank. Love to hear from you. Sorry we couldn't see you. Welcome to the new members of the team, and many more exciting things to come on the program. For now, though, we shall say goodbye. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Peace. We're out of here.